If someone were standing next to you right now, and every time you made a mistake they said, "You're already useless anyway," would you stay friends with that person? Probably not. So why do you do this to yourself every day? When you do something wrong, you don't just say, "That went wrong." You immediately start saying cruel things to yourself. "I can never do anything right. I ruined it again. Why am I like this? Everyone else can do it, but I can't. I'm not good enough." On the outside you may look calm, but inside there is a voice constantly attacking you. And the most exhausting part is this: you no longer hear this voice as criticism, you hear it as truth, as if every harsh sentence that passes through your mind must be true. And slowly you begin to lose faith in yourself. But just because a thought passes through your mind, that doesn't mean it is true. Today, we are not only going to talk about where this voice comes from. Later in the video, I will also explain the 3 critical stages of change that can help you break this cycle. Understanding these stages can be one of the biggest keys to transforming your inner voice. Thoughts are often the things that have repeated in your life, showing up during moments of crisis. Maybe you didn't grow up in a healthy environment, but that does not mean you have to live with cruel words for the rest of your life. If you also believe that you deserve positive thoughts, subscribe to this channel, because every piece of content I share includes important information for a healthier mind. Sometimes a person's biggest enemy is not the people outside. It is that harsh voice inside that has not been silent for years. So where does this voice come from? Most of the time, it does not appear suddenly. If, as a child, you were criticized instead of being understood when you made a mistake, if you heard the sentence, "You should do better," too many times, if, when you made a mistake, not only your behavior but your whole personality was questioned, if your emotions were minimized, and over time you started treating yourself the same way, because you were repeatedly exposed to negative sentences, you may have mistaken other people's words for your own inner voice. "I must be careful. I must not make mistakes. I must please everyone. I must look strong. If I seem inadequate, I won't be loved." Over time, these sentences can become rules inside us. But what you need to realize is this: your inner voice is not always your true voice. Sometimes what we call the inner voice is simply the continuation of past criticism inside us. And the harsher this voice becomes, the weaker your sense of self-worth becomes. Because even a small mistake no longer feels like just a mistake. It turns into something much heavier, like, "I am not good enough. I am a failure. I am not worthy of love." But making a mistake does not mean you are worthless. It means you are human. Not being able to do something does not mean you are an inadequate person. Struggling does not prove that you are incomplete or a failure. Every experience in life is part of being human, even the negative ones. But now it is time to have more positive experiences and a more supportive inner voice. For this, take an empty notebook that you are not using. While watching my videos, write down the sentences that create a positive feeling in you. Write down alternatives that can help you transform your false beliefs. Write down the questions I ask and your own answers. Then, 6 months later, you can answer the same questions again. Also, read these notes from time to time, because through repetition, the mind begins to normalize new patterns. There are 3 stages of behavior change: knowledge, behavior, and repetition of the behavior. This channel can be your source of knowledge. In other words, when you want to change a behavior, simply asking, "Why can't I do this?" does not really work. There are 3 steps you need in order to take action. The first one is knowledge, learning about the behavior you want to change. That means asking, "Why am I behaving this way? What could be the reason behind it? What can I do to transform this reason?" For example, let's talk about one of the things many people struggle with: not being able to say no. Not being able to say no is a result. At its root, there may be a lack of self-worth or a need for other people's approval. What did you experience that led to the result of not being able to say no? First, you need to explore this. You need to notice it. Then, you need to arrange your environment accordingly. You need to learn alternatives. If you cannot say no, what can you say that is not a harsh no? You need to learn those options. The second stage is adapting this behavior into your life. You found softer alternatives, now start applying them. The third and most important stage is repetition. Continue whenever you need to. As you continue, you will keep finding new alternatives. In the future, I will create important series about behavior change, and I will prepare the materials myself. If this topic speaks to you, you can check out the free awareness exercise in the description. In this exercise, I explain the 5 core reasons that shape your self-worth. Especially the inner voice and beliefs section can help you notice why you're so hard on yourself and which patterns feed this harsh voice. The link to the free exercise is in the description. Now ask yourself one very simple question. If a friend made a mistake, what would you say to them? For example, if someone you loved came to you and said, "I made a mistake again. I can't do anything right. I am truly not good enough." What would you say to them? You would probably say, "You are not worthless just because you made a mistake. You can repair this. This is just an experience. Don't be so hard on yourself. I am still here for you." So why do you do this to yourself every day? Do you realize what happens? When you make a mistake, your mind does not only say, "That went wrong," it attacks you. Why do you withhold from yourself the understanding you give to a friend? Why do you allow humanity in other people's mistakes but treat your own mistakes as character flaws? You were able to show compassion to your friend because that compassion already exists within you. Now it is time to give yourself the beautiful feelings and thoughts you offer to others. This is where self-compassion begins. Self-compassion is not about constantly saying positive sentences to yourself. Self-compassion is not about denying your mistake. Self-compassion is not about avoiding responsibility either. A person who shows themselves compassion says things like, "I made a mistake, but this does not make me worthless. I struggled, but that does not mean I am inadequate. I am growing. I am not okay right now, but I do not have to become my own enemy. I can move through this period by experiencing my emotions in a healthy way. I have the ability to feel better in time. Not right now, but with time. Hiding emotions and burying them deep inside is not healthy. Experiencing them in a safe and appropriate environment is healthy, because a person cannot feel good by being their own enemy. You cannot reach the balanced, joyful version of yourself that enjoys life by destroying yourself. Maybe you can push yourself harder for a short time, but somewhere inside, a part of you becomes constantly tired. Real change begins when you stop attacking yourself. Today, you can try this to notice your inner voice. When you make a mistake, catch the first sentence you say to yourself. Is this sentence supportive, or is it punishing? Does it lead you toward a solution, or does it drag you into shame? Does it give you strength, or does it make you feel even smaller? Because if your inner voice constantly makes you feel small, that voice may not be true. It may simply be familiar, and anything familiar can be changed. Today, you can start by saying this to yourself. This is a mistake. I am not my mistake. I am struggling right now. Rest is also part of consistency. I can learn to treat myself like a friend. I can learn balance not by destroying myself, but by allowing myself to exist. Remember, being cruel to yourself does not mean you are stronger. Sometimes real strength begins in the place where you approach yourself with compassion for the first time.